So for this project, I interviewed three people who have connection to science that I know. Um, and I really left the type of art that I was talking about open ended just so I could get the different perspectives from the people that I interviewed. Their interpretations were really interesting to see just how art can bring value to science in different ways and in different fields. Also, the value that science brings to art, on the other hand. Do you, as a scientist, believe that there is a good argument to be made for incorporating artistic components into science education?
I see the advantage of doing that. When I think of art, I think of graphic art as opposed to music, literature, those sorts of things, in terms of them having a direct role to play in the science and technology world. I don't see as much of that as I do for art, in particular, and graphics art. Particularly in my later career, where I spent a fair bit of time teaching geology to non-geologists in the oil industry, I have very often wanted to illustrate a concept. Haven't been able to find the illustration I'm looking for in the published work. And if I had the ability to draw a picture of my concept, basically a cartoon of my concept, it would make my life a lot easier.
Where do you think the most value comes from adding arts into science education?
When you start to get a universal opinion that a certain concept is valuable, people will run with that concept. For instance, we have a tremendous capability with computer-aided design, CAD. I think that if we were to extend the importance of the software, make that software valuable enough where computer programmers could see a direct benefit, I think very quickly we'd see an extension of CAD into a more artistic graphics artist approach.
As a former educator, do you think that incorporating arts into science education from an early stage will help foster scientific literacy and help build better candidates to fill jobs geared towards the sciences in the future?
To my mind, any rounded human being has to have some kind of arts. The more that a person is oriented towards something like physics or mathematics, or let's say some engineering work, anything along those lines, I believe it is crucial for them to have the arts in some way, shape, or form as a balance. Otherwise, there's a severe handicap in trying to communicate.
How do you think incorporating art aspects into science classes can make science more accessible to people who don't naturally think in that manner?
To give you an example, I have a learning disability with mathematics. I had a wonderful mathematics teacher who finally got me to understand topology. And the way he did it was, as he talked to us, he proceeded to get out of his vest without ever undoing. And he didn't just pull it up over his head. He used the topology of the vest to basically bend it around and slipped his arm through a couple of ways, and all of a sudden he was out. But he just kept talking to us. And it was like a magic trick, a piece of performance art. Well, he had me hooked. And from there, I learned probabilities, using various aspects of the arts can definitely grab those students that wouldn't otherwise be attracted.
As an engineer in your industry, do you find a lot of the time you have to use a lot of skills that require like a background in either fine arts or the arts?
Yeah, definitely. Communication really factors into a large part of my job, which kind of circles back to a lot of your English language arts skills. I was very fortunate to be strong in kind of English. I took on as English all throughout school, and it just served me really well in my professional life. From a fine arts point of view, there are definitely times when I leverage it.
As we continue into a digital age where artistic skills are needed, do you think that companies within your industry are going to be creating more jobs that have a foundation with those skills in mind?
Yeah, I do. I think that well-rounded that you are, the more opportunities that can present themselves to you and the more flexible that you can be. And the more flexible you can be, the more things they can throw at you and kind of the better you can serve in a professional environment. So I think that the more well-rounded you are, the more tools you have in your toolkit, so to speak.